Living in a $5 million home but struggling with bills? Here's how to stay cash flow rich. Hey, can you imagine owning a $5 million Singapore home but still struggling to pay the bills? It sounds crazy, right? But here's the shocking truth. It's happening more often than you'd think. What if that could be you someday? Today, I'm diving into some real-life stories of people who were drowning in debt while living in million-dollar properties. And here's the thing. It's not just happening in one place. We're seeing this play out in the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, countries where property values are skyrocketing, but people are finding themselves cash poor even though they're sitting on million-dollar homes. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm here to show you how to avoid this financial nightmare and stay cash flow rich, so you can actually enjoy the life you've worked so hard for. Before we dive in, make sure to stay till the end, because I've got some practical tips that could completely change how you view your finances. And hey, if you find this helpful, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this content with more people like you. All right, let's get into it. Story 1. Don't be asset rich but cash poor. Let me share a story that might hit closer to home than you'd expect. Imagine an elderly woman living in a $5 million condo. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the reality. When she passed away in 2023, her family discovered that she had just $2,900 in her savings and was struggling with a $250,000 loan secured against her home. On top of that, she owed over $70,000 in unpaid maintenance fees to her condo management. Her luxurious property didn't tell the full story. This woman had been relying on bank loans just to get by, living in a home that had deteriorated to the point that it couldn't even be rented out for income. Her situation only became public during a court dispute over her will, serving as a stark reminder that being asset-rich but cash-poor can lead to financial distress, especially as we age and face unexpected costs like medical bills or home repairs. What would you do? Now, let me ask you this. What if you were in her shoes? Would you consider selling your home to unlock some cash flow? It's not uncommon to feel attached to a home you've lived in for years, but is holding on to a large, expensive property worth it when it's not bringing in the cash you need for daily expenses or even basic upkeep? Downgrading isn't a bad thing. If you're a homeowner, you have options. Options this woman may have missed out on. One of them is downgrading, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative move. As we get older, our needs change. If your kids have moved out, do you really need all that space? Let's look at a real-life story from the US to show how you can prevent and mitigate this problem. A real-life example from a family in Florida turning property into financial freedom. In Florida, a widowed mother of two faced a similar dilemma. She inherited a large house from her parents, valued at over $2.5 million, but the financial pressure of covering the mortgage, property taxes, and upkeep was overwhelming. What was once a symbol of security had turned into a financial burden, draining her savings and limiting her ability to provide for her children. After some reflection, she made a bold choice. She sold the house, downsized to a smaller, more manageable property, and invested the remaining money in a diversified portfolio that generated monthly income. Part of her strategy involved investing in dividend aristocrats, companies with a proven track record of consistently paying and increasing dividends over the years. This gave her a steady, dependable income, even when markets were unpredictable. By diversifying across different industries, she ensured her portfolio generated a stable cash flow. As a result, she now enjoys a predictable income that covers her expenses without worry. Today, she's living comfortably, with more time for her family and a sense of security in her financial future. The stress of mortgage payments is a thing of the past, thanks to the passive income her investments provide. What you can learn from these stories. Both the above stories remind us that property wealth alone doesn't guarantee financial peace. It's essential to have a balance between assets and cash flow. By rethinking your situation, you might realize that holding on to a large, expensive property could be holding you back. What if selling your home or renting out a room could provide the cash flow you need to cover unexpected expenses or medical bills? You have options, and it all starts with adjusting your mindset. You don't have to make drastic changes overnight, but small steps toward financial flexibility can make a huge difference in the long run. What steps could you take today to unlock the freedom you deserve? Story 2. Overcoming the financial burden of a second property. Imagine this scenario. A retired couple, excited to earn some passive income, buys a private apartment while continuing to live in their housing board flat. They had dreams of using the rental income from the apartment to fund their retirement. But then, life happened. Interest rates soared, and suddenly most of their rental income was going straight into servicing the mortgage. They were left with barely enough to cover their daily expenses. Things got worse when they realized they hadn't planned for medical care. Medical bills piled up, and they couldn't ask their grown children for financial help because their children had families and expenses of their own. Desperate for cash, the couple had no choice but to rent out 2 bedrooms in their HDB flat to supplement their income. It's a tough situation, but one that can be avoided. Let's look at how you can protect yourself from ending up in a similar bind. And I'll share a real-life example from Australia to show you how proactive planning can lead to a better outcome. A real-life example from a couple in Sydney, Australia. In Sydney, a retired couple faced a similar challenge. They too had purchased a second property to generate rental income, hoping it would support them in their golden years. But as interest rates rose and the cost of maintaining the property increased, they found themselves in a cash flow crunch. However, instead of letting the situation spiral out of control, they decided to take action. They sold their second property and used the proceeds to pay off debts and cover medical costs. With the leftover money, they invested in a mix of dividend-paying stocks and bonds, which provided them with a steady monthly income. This allowed them to live comfortably without the stress of managing a rental property, giving them peace of mind for the rest of their retirement. Their story highlights the importance of being proactive and flexible with your investments. Sometimes, holding on to a property might seem like the best plan, but selling it and securing a more reliable income stream can offer you the financial freedom you truly need. Have you ever thought about whether selling a property could unlock more stability for your financial goals? 3 key things to consider before buying an extra property. First, let's talk about recurring costs. When you own a private property, you're responsible for all the associated costs. There are no government subsidies to help you out. Maintenance fees alone can be a couple of $1,000s every quarter. And if the common facilities in the estate need fixing or replacing, those costs come out of the resident's sinking fund, which you'll need to top up if it's running low. If you miss maintenance payments, you could face high interest charges of up to 20% or more. And let's not forget about property taxes, which are higher if you're not living in the unit. Next, rental income isn't pure profit. It's easy to look at rental income and think of it as free money, but that's rarely the case. As a landlord, you'll need to account for taxes on rental income and expenses like replacing appliances, fixing leaks, or general maintenance. If the property is mortgaged, a large portion of the rent will go toward paying off the loan. Make sure you crunch the numbers before buying an extra property. Can you still afford the mortgage and maintenance if your rental income suddenly stops? There's no guarantee that you'll always have a tenant, and it's important to ensure that your financial health doesn't depend solely on that rental income. Finally, plan for the unexpected. Life is unpredictable. Interest rates can rise, tenants can move out, and medical expenses can crop up unexpectedly. That's why it's crucial to have a well-thought-out plan that considers more than just property value. Diversifying your investments into assets that generate reliable cash flow, like dividend-paying stocks or REITs, can offer you a safety net when property income falls short. Have you considered adding any of these to your portfolio, or are you more focused on real estate alone right now? Story 3. Mitigating the risk of a property tax burden. Let's take a closer look at the story of a retiree who owns a $19 million bungalow. It sounds like the ultimate symbol of success, right? But here's the catch. Despite the immense value of his property, he's struggling to keep up with the $36,000 annual property tax, which breaks down to about $3,000 per month. And that's not even the full extent of his worries. As the house ages, inevitable wear and tear will bring much higher repair and maintenance costs. While he remains attached to his lavish bungalow, the reality is that staying in the house may eventually overwhelm him with ongoing expenses. A real-life example from the UK. Managing property tax and cash flow. Let's look at a similar situation in the UK, where property owners face heavy taxes as well. In London, a retired couple found themselves in a tricky situation. They owned a beautiful home worth £5 million in an upscale neighborhood, but struggled to cover their annual property tax of over £25,000. Since they were living off their modest pension, the tax bill felt like a huge burden with little cash flow to offset it. After considering their options, they made a wise choice. The couple sold their home, downsized to a modern, smaller apartment in the same city, and invested the remaining money in dividend stocks. Not only did they cut down on their living costs and taxes, but they also created a steady stream of income to support them through their retirement. This move allowed them to live comfortably and avoid the stress of an enormous property tax bill. They also ensured they had cash flow to cover their day-to-day expenses and enjoy life. By letting go of the need to hold on to their large home, they gained financial security and peace of mind in their golden years. Key takeaway: balance status with financial flexibility. Both these stories, from Singapore and the UK, remind us of the importance of balancing status with practicality. Sometimes selling a high-value property and downsizing isn't a step down, but rather a step towards financial freedom. By unlocking the value of your home, you can reduce your expenses, avoid hefty property taxes, and secure a steady income to live comfortably. If you find yourself in a similar situation, it's worth considering how downsizing could free up cash flow and relieve you of financial stress. After all, your home should be a place of comfort, not a source of financial burden. So, do you feel like your home is working for you financially? Or does it feel more like a weight on your shoulders? How to prevent this? CPF life and dividend stocks. All right, enough of the tough stories. Let's talk about how to prevent this from happening to you. 2 words: CPF life. Specifically, the Enhanced CPF Life, which from 2025 will allow you to top up your retirement account to the enhanced retirement sum of $426,000. This guarantees you up to $3,300 a month from age 65. No property taxes, no maintenance fees, just pure, steady income. These systems can offer a more hands-off, steady income without the burdens of property taxes or maintenance fees. Just peace of mind for your golden years. And let's not forget about dividend stocks. By building a portfolio of reliable dividend-paying stocks, you can enjoy a steady stream of passive income. It's like planting a money tree. Watch it grow while you relax. Conclusion: finding balance for financial freedom. Owning property can be a great way to build wealth, but it's crucial to make sure your assets work for you instead of against you. By understanding recurring costs, managing rental income wisely, and planning for the unexpected, you can avoid being property rich but cash poor. Just like the couple in Sydney, sometimes the best move is to sell an extra property and focus on creating a more sustainable and flexible financial future. You deserve a retirement free from cash-poor stress, and with proper planning, that's entirely achievable. The takeaway? While a large, luxurious home may seem like the ultimate goal, It can lead to unnecessary stress if you're not careful. Plan ahead, diversify your income, and remember that true financial freedom is about peace of mind, not just status. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more tips on staying cash flow rich. Stay smart, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.